On October 4, 2025, Hungary stunned Europe and the world by announcing its withdrawal from the European Union. The news sent shockwaves through capitals across the continent, as few believed Hungary would actually take such a bold and irreversible step. This wasn't just politics, it was a seismic shift in Europe's balance of power, a move that challenged the very foundations of the European project. Leaders in Brussels scrambled to respond, their faces etched with disbelief and concern. Almost immediately, Budapest declared it would join the BRICS bloc, deepening its ties with China, Russia, and other emerging powers. This signaled not just a change in alliances, but a dramatic realignment of Hungary's future, away from the West and toward the East. Prime Minister Viktor Orbán's long-telegraphed Eastern opening had finally become reality. For years, Orbán had hinted at turning Hungary toward new partners, but now, his vision was unfolding on the world stage. Hungary's clashes with Brussels over democracy, media freedom, and the rule of law had simmered for years. Now those tensions had finally erupted into a full-blown split, with both sides blaming the other for the breakdown. The government framed the move as a bold step towards sovereignty and prosperity, promising Hungarians a future free from what it called EU overreach and bureaucracy. Supporters celebrated in the streets, waving flags and chanting for independence. Critics, especially in the West, saw it as a retreat from democracy and a step into authoritarian influence. Opposition groups warned that Hungary risked isolation and the loss of hard-won freedoms. The Hungarian forint plunged overnight, and uncertainty gripped the nation's economy. Investors pulled back, and ordinary citizens rushed to banks, worried about their savings and the future of their livelihoods. The EU now faces an existential crisis: how to respond to a member not just leaving, but joining a rival bloc. Emergency meetings were called, and leaders debated next steps as the world watched. Is this a one-off, or the first crack in Europe's unity? Analysts warned that other countries might be watching closely, considering their own futures within the EU. The continent holds its breath, watching history unfold in real time. The story of Hungary's pivot east is only just beginning, and its consequences may shape Europe for years to come. To truly grasp Hungary's recent pivot on the world stage, you must first understand the deep currents of its history. Currents that have shaped its national psyche for centuries. Hungary is a nation forged at the crossroads of empires, always pulled between East and West, never fully belonging to either. Its geography has made it a perpetual meeting point and battleground for rival powers. From the devastation of Mongol invasions through centuries under Ottoman and Habsburg rule, Hungarians have fought time and again to defend their unique identity, language, and traditions from foreign domination. The trauma of the Treaty of Trianon, which saw Hungary lose two-thirds of its territory, and the long decades under Soviet domination, left deep scars, wounds that still shape the nation's sense of vulnerability and pride. The fall of communism in 1989 felt like a long-awaited homecoming to the West. For many, joining the European Union was a dream fulfilled. Yet for others, the EU soon began to feel like just another distant authority, disconnected from Hungary's unique story. Viktor Orbán's government taps into this powerful narrative, casting Brussels as a modern-day imperial center, one that threatens Hungary's hard-won sovereignty and national character. EU directives are often seen here not as helpful guidance, but as threats to the independence Hungarians have struggled to reclaim. In this context, Hungary's pivot to China and BRICS is framed not as a rejection of Europe, but as a bold move to reclaim true independence, a way to resist a federalist vision that ignores national traditions and local voices. Today, Hungary claims its role as a bridge between worlds, seeking partners on its own terms and refusing to be defined by others' expectations. This argument draws its power from centuries of history and myth, reminding Hungarians and the world that their struggle for sovereignty is as old as the nation itself. Hungary's turn east isn't just ideological, it's a transformation built on a foundation of Chinese investment and sweeping infrastructure projects that are reshaping the country's economic landscape. The Budapest-Belgrade Railway, funded by billions in Chinese loans, stands as a flagship project of Beijing's ambitious Belt and Road Initiative. symbolizing the deepening ties between the two nations and promising to connect Central Europe with the Balkans like never before. Hungary's government envisions the country as a vital logistics hub, a gateway for Chinese goods flowing into the heart of Europe, with new railways, highways, and ports designed to streamline trade and boost economic activity. Chinese capital is also pouring into Hungary's telecom sector, modernizing networks and expanding digital infrastructure across the nation. Massive investments in electric vehicle battery plants are creating thousands of jobs, fueling hopes for long-term growth and technological advancement. The Hungarian government proudly touts these projects as evidence that the East delivers tangible results, stepping in where the European Union, in their view, has fallen short or moved too slowly. By seeking closer ties with BRICS nations, Hungary hopes to access new, dynamic markets and attract further investment from emerging economies. This strategy is also about diversifying away from a stagnating Europe, reducing dependence on traditional Western partners, and embracing a more global economic outlook. But critics warn that these deals come with significant risks, including the threat of debt traps that could leave Hungary financially beholden to Beijing. Opaque loan agreements and a lack of transparency raise concerns about long-term financial stability and national security. The widespread adoption of Chinese technology, especially in critical infrastructure, has sparked fears that Hungary's sovereignty and data security could be compromised. While the embrace of China offers the promise of rapid modernization and economic renewal, it also brings difficult questions about the true cost of such progress. Hungary is betting on a multipolar world, seeking to balance East and West, but the risks of this gamble are real and growing. The future may bring prosperity and new opportunities, or it could mean a gradual loss of autonomy and control over Hungary's own destiny. Hungary's pivot east is a high-stakes gamble, potentially a modern-day Faustian bargain with significant consequences. The government envisions prosperity and greater autonomy, free from EU oversight and influence. But massive Chinese loans for infrastructure projects could lead to crippling debt and foreign control. Critics fear Hungary is trading one dependency for another, with fewer protections than the EU previously provided. Aligning with authoritarian powers like China and Russia threatens Hungary's democratic fabric and values. Without EU checks, media freedom and judicial independence could erode further, causing concern. The nation stands at a crossroads. Economic boom or democratic decline awaits. The outcome of this gamble remains deeply uncertain and unpredictable. Hungary's decision has split the nation, dividing families and communities. Supporters see it as national liberation, a stand for sovereignty against Western interference. For them, Orbán is a hero defending Hungarian identity from EU imperialism. Opponents, often younger and urban, feel betrayed, fearing lost freedoms and a return to authoritarianism. The pivot to the east is seen as a catastrophic mistake by many, a break with Europe's democratic values. Protests fill Budapest streets, EU and Hungarian flags waving side by side. This is more than politics, it's a battle for the nation's soul and identity. The outcome will shape Hungary for generations. Hungary's exit from the EU and alignment with BRICS sends shockwaves across Europe. Unlike Brexit, this is a rejection from within, a former model of post-communist transition turning away. The move emboldens Eurosceptic movements elsewhere, threatening the EU's unity. If Hungary thrives, others may follow, risking a domino effect. For China and Russia, it's a strategic victory, a foothold in the heart of Europe. Hungary becomes a gateway for Chinese influence and a tool for Russian disruption. The US and NATO now face tough questions. Can Hungary remain a reliable ally while aligned with rivals? The Western alliance's fault lines are exposed, and adversaries are watching closely. Hungary's decision is more than a national story. It's a test for the entire European project. The continent's future may hinge on what happens next. As Hungary steps into the unknown, the stakes couldn't be higher. Severing EU ties brings economic shock and immense pressure to deliver on BRICS promises. If new investments fall short, public support could collapse, deepening internal divisions. Internationally, Hungary must balance Eastern alliances with NATO commitments, a diplomatic tightrope. The Magyar question is more open than ever. Can Hungary chart a third way, or will it become a cautionary tale? The world is watching as Hungary's next chapter unfolds. Its journey will shape debates on democracy, sovereignty, and the future of Europe. The future is unwritten, and its consequences will reach far beyond Hungary's borders.